anything that you are doing in Excel, on an email or on a computer, that essentially can be automated with the help of AI.
A context that pretty much every business can use this in is a marketing context.
We have got a mother agent which picks up the topic from our topics list. It creates a task for market researcher, for the graphic designer, for the content strategist. So it is basically the head of marketing. You have got some no-code automation tools like make.com. Another one which is very famous is N8N. And it's a like fun drag and drop tool. So you can connect to my email and say, read my emails and understand what is the intent of this email.
An important question that I know anyone who's going to be working in marketing is automatically thinking, going, am I going to have a job? Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Dumb Monkey Show. We are, as always, joined by our host and founder of Enterprise Monkey and this podcast, Aamir Qutub. Aamir, welcome.
Thank you so much, Davina. How are you?
I am well today, thank you. I'm actually quite excited. We've been, I think, leading up to this conversation for quite a few of our past episodes. And it feels like automation and AI is now becoming a little bit more widespread. I want to say it's almost become kind of the cool tool.
Yeah.
So people now are actually really leaning into it in the business space. But a lot of people, when I speak to them about automation, still are thinking about old automation tools. So software
Or
automations.
Robotic process automation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you could just start, I think we're a nice place to start this conversation will be to talk a little bit about what are automation tools in the space of AI? What's different?
So the main thing that has changed with all of the AI tools that have come up is that they are using the power of these large language models to be able to make decisions or interpret the information and convert that information into a different format. What it means is that previously the automations, the way we would work, if you look at the automation in the factory, you would generally have robots who are trained to do step number 1, step number 2, step number 3 and 4, because they are on an assembly line. So they are just following a particular pattern, a particular instruction, and they are repeating the same stuffs. Similarly, if you look at the automation that we had in businesses, in the softwares, it would generally be, okay, capture this file from this place. And then, for example, if you receive an email, capture the document and create a ticket, or maybe take that document and save it in a SharePoint folder. What has changed now with the help of AI is that you can actually add a ChatGPT module inside your systems and then get that ChatGPT module to interpret that information. So the task that originally humans were doing, like a simple task would be, if you receive an email, reading what that email says, making a booking in the calendar, maybe downloading a file, creating an entry in the CRM. So all of this stuff was actually being done by humans. Now AI can interpret the information, AI can create the entries, AI can create stuff and actually make that happen. So that has actually changed now. So, and you have got some no-code automation tools like make.com. Another one which is very famous is N8N.
Yes.
And these tools actually allow you, and it's a like fun drag and drop tool. So you can select my email, connect to my email, then connect a ChatGPT module to it, or connect a Claude module to it, and say, read my emails and understand what is the intent of this email. And then if the intent of this email is that this is an action that I need to do, then take that intent, create a task, then go to my whatever task manager I'm using and create a task over there. So it was actually not possible without AI, but now it's possible. And the opportunities of automations in the business are endless now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm hearing when we talk about this and a lot of the conversations that I've had with other people is that the power and the promise of AI automation in this space is that these sort of, again, we keep talking about these rote tasks, these repeatable tasks that come through that take up a lot of our thought and time space when we'd probably rather be actually focused on things that we would consider to be more important or of a higher value can now be automated through. So I'll take you back. I think a context that pretty much every business can use this in is a marketing context. So that communications, whether it's your B2B, B2C, whoever your flow of emails is coming through to, let's talk about whether it's an email flow or queries on website or setting up some marketing operations. Talk me through how we might start that.
Sure. So let me talk about how we use in our organization in marketing context. So one of the simple things is creating a blog article, right? So if you look at a blog writing process, it's a detailed process because you have to first come up with the topic, research the topic, make sure that it's something that people are looking for, do some internal research, then create an outline, create a strategy, and then have a writer to actually write the blog, then have someone to create an image for that blog, and then someone takes that blog, checks it, and then posts it on your website. Now, what we have done is we have actually set up an automation in make.com that does the same thing, but it actually does it without human input. So we have got a mother agent or mother ChatGPT, which picks up the topic from our topics list. Again, those topic list is created by another automation that creates the topic.
Surely the topics list is being generated.
And then when it reads the topic, it says, okay, for this topic, this is the research that we need to do. It creates a task for market researcher. It creates a task for the graphic designer, for the content strategist. So it is basically a content strategist or the head of marketing who is actually reading the topic and saying, okay, for us to be able to write an effective, helpful topic, this is the stuff that we need to do before we actually write the blog. Now, those tasks are not allocated to humans. They're actually allocated to these, again, other ChatGPT modules. So, or for example, for market research, we use Perplexity module. So Perplexity is a tool that you can use for research, but it has got API as well. So in make.com, you can select the Perplexity module and say, this is the task that you need to do. And we can pick up the task that was actually created by the first ChatGPT, our content strategist, and say, this is the market research that you need to do and give me back the context. So Perplexity would go and do the research, provide the research back. Then there would be an internal researcher who would do a research on the stuff that we have done and would return the projects back. There would be someone which has got my voice, so it will return my voice and my experience back. And so through this process, we have actually automated the process of creating the blog. Then there's a GPT that creates the image for that blog, and then it gets published on the website. But it doesn't stop over there. That's one automation. Once you have created that blog, what we can do is that there's another automation that reads that blog and say, okay, this is a great blog, but that's just one piece of content. How can we take this blog and create multiple pieces of content? Because we have got different channels that we want to reach out to the people. So we want to reach out to people.
Anyone who's in the marketing space knows that you shouldn't produce single-use content. You should be using multi-use content.
Yeah. And sometimes I still intervene in the blog process and I would want to have my voice. So we have got that allowance where we can put in our voice. So that blog actually represents a mix of human and AI generated content, and it's an excellent piece of content. Now, an AI automation can take that piece of content and convert it into an image for Instagram, or convert it into a video reel for TikTok, or it can convert into a post for LinkedIn. So we create around 50 to 60 pieces of content from one single blog that goes out to different channels and then posted on different channels. So it actually frees up a lot of time for our team to focus on identifying the positioning, what's the message that we want to communicate, but the actual part of creating the content, but then distributing that content is actually done with the help of AI.
There's a few really important questions that come up when we're talking about these processes, and they're always human questions.
Yes.
So the technology can do extraordinary things, but the human questions are, first of all, how do you know that the content that you're producing is actually giving you the outcome that you want? How are you getting the right message out there to the right people with the right actions coming back?
So we have got an automation for that actually scrolls through the analytics in our website, and that goes through and scrolls through the analytics on our social media channels, look at which content is doing really well and which content is performing, which content is not performing. and from there it can come back and inform the mother agent is in terms of this is why this content performed well, this is why this content didn't perform well, and then the agent can actually tweak the next article on the basis of the research that we are doing with the help of these automation agents.
Yeah, fantastic. And an important question that I know anyone who's going to be working in marketing is automatically thinking, going, am I going to have a job?
I think you would 100%, because although we are posting some of these AI generated blogs, we know there's a value in actually human written content and human creativity. So we are posting here like AI generated blogs for things which are more topical, more research based. But then when we want to present our views, we are still writing that. But then we are actually using AI to expand our reach.
Yeah.
So because people use different channels, some people use social media, some people like to listen to podcasts, some people like videos. And it was very difficult for you to do that. People would generally stick to one or two channels.
Yeah, and it's a lot of content takes a long time to create.
It does, yes.
If you're doing it purely from scratch, just human ingenuity.
Yeah.
Humans can do amazing things. They're very creative, but it takes time.
Absolutely. And even if you look at this podcast that we are doing, now we are spending enormous energy in actually doing this podcast, spending money in renting a studio, getting the video edited and everything. Now, if we just restrict it to the audio, then we are just using it for one channel. But what we are doing with this podcast is that we take the transcript and then give it to GPTs for the automation that creates a newsletter out of it. So we are going to be soon launching our Dumb Monkey newsletter.
Fantastic.
Because I heard the feedback from some people who said, I don't like listening or watching. I still like the
but
reading.
I'd like the information,
Yes. So, and that newsletter would be great. But we'll convert this podcast into a blog. We'll convert this podcast into quotes. And again, there was initially, if you had to get quotes out from a podcast, you had to actually listen to the whole podcast and get out of it.
Very time-consuming process.
Now we can just put the transcript into GPT and it can create multiple quotes, identify the key moments and create multiple quotes. And that's how, like, even if you see the initial hooks that we get in our episodes are actually done all with the help of AI.
Yeah.
So it's about how you can take one piece of information, but communicate it to the people where they are, but also how they like to absorb the information as well, because every person understands information differently. Like people who are watching some video on TikTok, their way of how they want the information versus someone who is accessing LinkedIn is completely different.
Yeah.
So it allows you to expand your reach with the help of that.
Indeed. And I mean, if we are talking about people that are putting this into their business space, I mean, you've talked a little bit about ChatGPT and different GPTs, but of course, these same agents are now available in all sorts of AI platforms. So it's not something that's linked to ChatGPT. We'll talk about ChatGPT. We'll talk about Claude and Perplexity. Where else should people be looking?
So for writing, what I have identified is that Claude performs much better than ChatGPT.
And is that why is that? Do you think is that because of its research links? Because of the way that it researches and what's informed the model?
I think it's because what it's trained on, and most importantly, how it's incentivized. So I was listening to the interview from one of the co-founders of Claude, and what he was saying is that because ChatGPT came out first and they were working on Claude, ChatGPT had a strategy that they wanted to be this great generalistic model that is good at doing everything. But then Claude had a choice whether to compete with ChatGPT or to identify where they want to focus on. So they identified that they want to be a great tool for writing and a great tool for coding. So like when it comes to coding, there's no one that beats Claude. And when it comes to writing, like they are at the best. But if it's about brainstorming or thinking, some of the analytical things, like ChatGPT performs much better than this. So it's also about understanding which model works well for some of these things.
Yeah, and that's why it's great for everyone who's listening to be able to hear your expertise in this space, because everyone's got an opinion.
Yes.
And you'll hear plenty of it. And again, it's that if you have to just sit there and go online and try and figure this out, then you're going to spend a lot of time reading and researching. So it's, you're being people's agent right now.
Oh, yes. But the good thing with something like make.com or anytin.com is that you can have the same prompt and you can very easily switch the modules and see if I'm producing the same blog with the help of Claude, what's the result that I'm getting? And if I'm producing the same thing with the help of ChatGPT, what's the result that I'm getting? So, like in my automation for the initial strategy, that mother strategist is basically an OpenAI or ChatGPT API. Research is being done by Perplexity. I'm using some other tools in between. Image is now being created by Nano Banana, which we are going to talk about, which is a new amazing image creation
and it
model.
has the best name.
Absolutely. And it's just a
and
beautiful...
it is actually real. It
is.
We'll get into that. But there was a whole thing around whether is Nano Banana actually real? And
Oh, yes. So it's real and it's great for creating images. So we are using that. But for the final writing, we are actually using Claude and it's giving much better results. So it's about understanding which model works out really well. Beautiful thing is, once you have set it, once you have done it, it takes 1 week to create an automation, another week to test it. But once it's done, then it's done. Then it's going to be working for you all the time. It's generating the content for you while you are focusing on other things.
So maybe one of the smartest things that my friends in the world of marketing can do right now is to get comfortable and get uncomfortable with a bit of automation in the AI space. So just get in, play and learn and start to see where you can put it into your workflows, because it's a bit, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So this will be the new world and it will move fast. It's a great time to try and get comfortable now.
Another couple of use cases of automations in the marketing space. First is with the research, the market research. So right now, for you to be able to produce content, you need to know what's going on in the world, what my competitors are doing, what are the trends that are happening. Now you can have these automation agents that you can set up that can watch what's happening. And you can easily do with, again, Make or Anytin. Look at what's happening, summarize it and give it to you in terms of a very clear bullet points. But then look at your brand and say, hey, this is a trend that's happening. You can actually create a content on this basis, and then it can give you the ideas as well. So we have got, again, you can do it with your competitors as well. Look at how they are running their ads, because Facebook actually gives you a transparency over, like you can actually see what ads are people running. So you can have these automation agents that can almost spy on your competitors and see what are they doing, but what's performing for them and what's not performing for them. So let them burn their money, let them spend money on ads, let them create the content.
And learn from the market.
Because now these agents can go and crawl the websites, crawl the social media and give you what's working. And then you can use that to actually produce your pieces of content. Another example of how I use it for my LinkedIn is that I have actually taken my best performing posts for last 5 years. And then I downloaded it and I gave it to ChatGPT reasoning model. And I said, these are my top performing posts. On the basis of this, create a guideline or a prompt that I can use to create more additional posts. So now I've got a very clear guideline or prompt, and then I have got that in an automation that can generate posts.
So you're training your own. When you log in, you go into your reasoning version of ChatGPT, and then it's learning from what's worked well for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that actually leads into my next question, which was, when we talk about business marketing, branding, communications, which every business needs to do, and there's all those wonderful things about understanding who your client base is, who's your audience, but there's a secret sauce in there, and it's what makes you stand out, what makes you a business or an organization or a company or an individual that someone wants to work with. And there is a bit of human secret sauce in there. So how, in a world where we are going to have an awful lot of automation in this space, and particularly in how we communicate around our work and our value offering, how do we keep the secret sauce? How do we keep that connection and that spark that makes people go, I think I'd rather go with you than you?
I think that secret sauce that we always had actually comes from someone who's still applying their brains and their understanding of human-to-human connection and making it work. But what AI is doing is that AI is actually helping you save a lot of time and energy in a lot of grunt work that you had to do. So yesterday I was doing a demonstration at one of the runway workshops with startups. And we are doing, okay, if you need to do a market research. This is how we can use perplexity, identify who that, do a market research on the people, what they're thinking. And to validate your idea, you can actually use an agent that can go on Reddit and identify what are the problems that people are talking about. And then that becomes your idea that you can actually focus on. But the thing is that whenever you get these agents to do the research, they are going to come back to you with a lot of information.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to apply your own learning and your own brain and think about, okay, these are things that have been suggested, but what's actually going to make it work? How do I relate it to my own experience? So everything that is returned by AI is not correct. It's just giving you the information, but how you interpret that information is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's some great nuances in terms of, I guess, playing with these tools, but also understanding that sometimes not doing more is a good thing.
Yes.
So you can overload your audience. We know that the internet is flooded with AI generated content now. So being really strategic, being really mindful, and putting your human hat back on and saying, okay, well, am I really getting what I need out there? Am I giving people what they want? Is this responding well to the kind of people that I want, or am I making them unfollow my page? Because that's what we don't want, right?
Yeah. It also goes to why are you creating the content? So if you're creating the content because you want to educate your target audience or talk to them, then you are providing something of value for them. So thinking about what is actually going to provide them with the value, what is it going to be really helpful for them? Is it going to motivate them? Is it going to make you more relatable for them? And if AI is actually helping me do that in a better way, it's amplifying that. Because if I've got some thoughts that I've got in my mind, but I don't know how to communicate it, but if I can use AI to do that, then it's helpful. Otherwise, if you do not have a clarity about who your target audience are or what they need, then AI is going to give you something crap. And that's what's happening around the world, is people are just creating a whole lot of content without really understanding who the target audience is, what are their pain points, what are their problems, and how you're going to solve it. So it's like it's an amplifier. So it amplifies
exactly right,
the good thing, and then on the other hand, it can amplify the crap as well.
Because what hasn't really changed are the problems, and how we can help people. So those are the fundamentals. They stay the same. They're what drive all business.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
So Aamir, we've talked quite a bit about AI automations in the space of marketing, and of course, we know that marketing communications is something that all businesses do. But these are multi-use tools. We like things. We like processes in our business and our workflows that let us do multiple things. So another area that occurs to me that we're seeing a lot of AI automation, of course, is in sales. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you might, how businesses and organizations might start thinking about what they can be doing to automate some of their processes in the area of sales?
Absolutely. So now you have done your marketing. Now you're getting traffic on your website.
People are interested. Now you want to convert.
Yes. And now they are coming to you. So maybe they are coming to your website and filling a query. So when people come to our website, fill in the contact form. So we have got an automation at the back end that looks at that query and say, okay, what is this query about? Drafts a response back to them and say, thanks for the query. Here are some of the times when can we book a discovery call? Because that's the first point. If we think, if someone is inquiring about a job, we respond accordingly. If we think we can't help them, we respond accordingly. So there was actually a salesperson who was doing this stuff. Now AI can actually read the query and respond back. So now that AI agent would go back to them and fix a meeting. Now before the meeting, there's another agent that would actually look at that query, because that query is now sitting in my CRM. And that query would only have the name of the business and a base of their requirement, but not all of the details. So this agent actually looks at that, looks at the company, goes through their website, do the research, and enriches my CRM and give me the context about what this organization are, who is this person, looks for them on the LinkedIn.
So it does background.
It does, yes. And before the meeting, it tells me that you are going to meet with this person. This organization has done this. This is what it talks about on their website. and this is how you should actually talk to them or pitch them.
Hmm.
So when we go into the meeting, we are prepared because we know who they are, and we generally tell them that we have looked at this, we know who they are. Talk to them about what is the problem that they are trying to solve. So, example, if they want to build an AI agent, we understand who they are, what type of agent they want to build. And that call goes for half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we say to them that, okay, that's great. We might need a deeper discovery session. We'll give you a proposal for that. Or it could be, it's a simpler thing. We'll come back to you with an estimate for that. Now, because that meeting is actually captured by our minute takers, and automation takes those meeting minutes and then converts that into a proposal. So we use HubDoc for our proposals, where our proposal is already formatted and set.
Yes,
it
so
actually
it's been templated.
It's been templated. So what this thing does, it actually takes the minutes, transcripts, understands what are the requirements. From there, it looks at the previous proposal that it had done, and then it sometimes come back to us and comes to us and say, what is the solution? These are the 2 or 3 solutions. What is the solution that you are thinking? What is the approx estimate? So we feed it back, and then it creates the proposal and then sends the proposal back to the customer. But it's not only sending the proposal, it's sending a nice email to them. Sometimes we are experimenting with like a video message, like which is a video avatar, which is my video avatar.
Yeah.
But it's generated by AI, but it's just saying, hey, thanks for meeting with us. This is what we are looking to build. But also now in our proposals, we actually include some of the mock-ups and the wireframes of how their agent would look like as well. It was not possible earlier. It was
a lot of work.
Too time consuming.
Yeah.
So that whole process is now being taken care with the help of AI. Now, another way we get...
So it sounds like the AI in this space is actually helping with a bit of the transparency for the client and actually answering some questions for them ahead of the process that it would have previously been.
Yes. And also it's also allowing the time that we would spend in putting the proposal together, we are able to do it with the help of AI. So it's still our intelligence because we are still providing the input in the meeting itself and after the meeting.
Informing all of the information.
Yeah. But we don't have to put together the previous work and things like that, because it's looking into our portfolio, finding the relevant examples and building the proposal for us. And it's learning with every proposal in terms of which is winning, which is not winning, why it's not winning, and so on.
What's the gap been between early proposals when you first started this process to where you are now?
So I would say that earlier, what we were doing was that we were actually checking the proposals manually and we were putting a lot of rigor into it. But now we still have one point of check, but we are spending like 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes on checking the proposal and sending it through.
Oh, wow, that's a big saving.
It is, yes. So initially, like we still had to do a lot of edits. Like I would say we still were consuming 1 to 2 hours, but now it's just 5 to 10 minutes, quick check and send it.
I think that's great knowledge for our listeners, is to understand that absolutely automation can do some extraordinary things, but you still need to train it. So it's very much, I think, you talk a lot about treating your AI as if it's an intern.
It is.
And very much in this space as well. So if you're starting up an automation process, that you do need to allow that time to train it, to check it, to improve what's coming out and to direct the AI. Teach it, basically. Teach it the ways.
Yeah. And the other way we get sales is through tender submissions. Now, tenders, if anyone has done it, it's a painful process.
Are you all breathing with me? Yeah, we're all breathing with
yes.
me. Oh, tenders, yeah.
So it's a painful process because, first of all, you subscribe to a tender portal and they keep on sending you a whole lot of them. So earlier, I had my VP of sales actually going through those, shortlisting them and sending it to me and saying, do we need to do this or not? We had a matrix through which we would go through a process and say, okay, yes, we are going to apply for this tender or not. And just the pain in reading all of those RFQs was challenging in itself. So now we have got an AI agent that looks through all of the tenders that come in, scores them and say, okay, this is a great opportunity because this is in Victoria. They are looking for this type of work. We have done previously this type of work. Scores them and say, okay, this is a good opportunity for us to pursue it. Now, what it does, it actually takes that RFQ and converts it into an easy to understand format for us. Look at our previous tender submissions and create a draft on the basis of the previous submissions. Of course, we still have to go in and spend the time.
Yeah.
But earlier, we were spending from 6 to 7 days in responding to a tender. Now we can do it within 1 day.
Wow, that's
So
that's a huge
it
advantage.
is, yes.
And if you're in a business or an organization that has a lot of tender processes as part of their workflows, that adds up to a lot of time.
But it's also not only cost saving, it's also how many tenders now we are able to apply it to and how much revenue we can increase as well.
Yeah. And if we track this and we move across the chain, we would hope that the people that are then receiving the tender submissions are also putting their AI agents into place and putting some automation processes in place so that they are then receiving the tenders or following up with people that have been requested to tender and checking it against, RFQs and doing the analysis of those tenders, putting them through a matrix and then spitting out some reports at the other end to help that decision to be a lot easier as well. So because I'm sure it's not fun reading the tenders all the time either.
And I've seen a lot of RFQs are generated by AI. So it's a world where AI is generating RFQs, AI is responding to it, and AI is checking it. But an initial mistake that we made when we were doing the tender stuff was that we actually relied really heavily on AI without training it and say, write me a response. Responses were too generic and we actually lost quite a few tenders because of that. And so if you are using AI to actually write the submission, it's very important that it needs to carry your own authentic voice. It needs to provide the actual solution. Yes.
Yeah, very specific solution-focused answers.
That's right, yes. So you should not be using AI to come up with the solution. You should be using AI to just take all of the pieces of the information that you had and then capture it and communicate. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you have got the tender. Now the organization says, great, this is our contract, sign it, and let's move forward. Now, when we used to receive that contract, you would have to read, because we cannot afford a lawyer for every small job. So you have to read through the contract and say, okay, is it fine or not? And go back to them back and forth and so on. Now, you give this contract to an AI agent that can look at it and identify the red flags for you. You might still send it to a lawyer for the final check, but you've already identified the red flags and said, okay, these are the things that are not fine. These are things that are fine.
And how are you training an AI agent on what those red flags might be for your business? Because they're going to be different for every.
Yes. So there would be some obvious red flags, but if AI agent knows what's your indemnity insurance looks like, what are your standard terms and conditions and things like that.
So you will have trained your AI on using these requirements and pushing and having guidelines and policies uploaded into or to be trained in that model.
That's right. But then you have also specified what are the things to look for when it comes to red flags. And so it can look at the tender, look at the contract and identify the red flags from there. Once you have done that, they say, okay, that's fine, sign the contract. Now, after signing the contract, we would take the statement of works, create a project, and someone would sit and write all of the tasks. Someone would go and raise an invoice. Now, with the help of AI, we are able to automate that part as well. So as soon as a contract is signed, AI can create that invoice in Xero. We can send that invoice automatically. Our project can be planned and so on. So it's like taking your whole sales process. You can actually have all of these automations in place that can save a whole lot of time.
Do you ever now and then try and get your people in your team to trick it? To see if you can find those edge cases and to see where the trip ups will be?
So what we are actually doing is we are constantly testing it and we are constantly training it. So with the sales team still there, but now they are working on building the system. They are working on refining each and every process. So it's because it's not 100% accurate. So it's about saying, how can we improve it? How can we improve our responses and so on? Which is, I think, is a much better way to spend your time on rather than like working on one-off things. Now we are working on building those systems.
And why is that important?
Because then it allows you to build an organization that is scalable and that is repeatable as well. So you are building something that you can scale very easily so that if right now we have, like, if we are able to do 2 tenders in a week, we should be able to do 5 tenders in a week, 10 tenders in a week without losing the quality, because we have got processes in place and then we have got these AI agents or systems in place that can do that work reliably for us.
Yeah. Can you tell me from your personal experience in your business, What's the reaction been from your team? What are they telling you about, I guess, their satisfaction with their job and what they get out of these changes in ways of working?
So initially there was a lot of resistance and a lot of skepticism, and especially from my developers. Like you would generally think technical people would be really happy with AI, but we had a lot of resistance from the developers. What they said, because we asked them to use something called vibe coding, which is like use AI to check the code or write the code more efficiently. And what they said was that we are people who like to just write the stuff. We don't like talking to even an agent, right? So, and they said, oh, it's not accurate, it's not right, and things like that. So, and I think there was a skepticism, but also there was a bit of fear about what it's going to do to them as well.
And as a business leader, how do you address those fears and that skepticism?
So, first thing is like one thing that I communicate with them is that, look, this is where the world is going. Like a lot of business leaders that I've seen out there, they say, oh, no, we are not about, replacing you and things like that. But I think it's my responsibility to tell them that your role is going to evolve and it's going to change. So if you look at it from a business perspective, you would be useful for the organization if you're able to embrace these tools and work more efficiently and effectively. And if you do that, you would be an asset to the organization. You would be that champion.
You add value.
You add value.
And add future value.
Yes, yeah. And if you do not get on board, then we might, from the goodness of our heart, want to retain you for an year or two or whatever. But if you would want to go and seek a job, like if you are a developer and not using AI, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, if you want a promotion, if you want to get a new job, it would be very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So it's actually not about the organization, but also about your career as well. So that's something that we tell them. But second thing that we also tell them is that what we are trying to do over here is actually make you more productive and avoid the things that you hate. So if there are things in your job that you like to do, we encourage you to keep doing that. But there are things in your job that are like just repeated, obligatory, boring operational tasks, the robots. These are the ones that we are trying to replace. And if you just give it a try, and that's where we started, like, just give it a try. Tell me about what you do, how you do it. Let's see how we can, and we have to do a bit of hand holding. Let's see how AI can actually help you do it. And once they experience it, they feel that magic themselves. So we always say, it's not a permanent thing. Let's give it a try. If you like it, we are going to go ahead. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I never had someone who has said, sort of come back and said, no, we didn't like it.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And I thank you for sharing that, because I think that's one of the things that for all of us, as we're stepping into this, into this brave new world of AI and automation, that we need to be really mindful, that we need to bring people along for the journey, but also be honest. Be honest about the fears and the skepticism and the things that will hold people back, because we're having to train people every bit as much as we're having to train models.
And what I don't like about what large organizations are doing is they are working on deploying AI agents, working on efficiencies in their boardrooms, but they're not actively talking about it. Like, they should be responsible enough to come out and say, yes, this is what we are doing. This is going to have an impact on your job. This is how you should prepare yourself. Now, we do not have a very clear plan from the Australian government as well in terms of how we are going to train or upskill the people.
We absolutely don't.
So I meet a lot of people who are in this jeopardy, who are like confused or scared about what's going to happen because there's no clarity. So it's very important to establish that clarity. So when I work with a business, I work with a client, I make sure that the very first thing that we do is actually that we talk to the team members and we ensure that there's a clarity. People understand what's coming, what's happening, and how is it going to affect them and their jobs and their workplace. Because if you tell people what's coming and how is it going to affect them, then they can better prepare themselves for it as well.
Yeah, and absolutely, I couldn't agree more. But also, strategically, if you think that you're going to be able to deploy a widespread AI and that's going to give you a market advantage, how long do you think that's going to last until someone else deploys pretty much the same AI that are all made on kind of the same models and trained on basically the same stuff? How are you going to compete? Because all the information's already out there. So like any tool, how are you going to use it? I can pick up a set of, go down and get a whole set of Ryobi tools today, but it's not going to make me a master builder.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yes. Yeah.
how do we keep our people with us and take them with us so that all of that intrinsic knowledge and that human creativity then adds that real value and retains and grows and makes that scalable?
Yeah. So, like, even if you look at that marketing automation example, like if AI can help me create proposal, which means that my salespeople can actually spend more time talking to the prospects, talking to the customers, understanding their needs, their problems, coming up with new strategies,
developing new products,
yes,
coming into new ways of telling stories, new ways of building new products, new ways of answering problems that would have been too expensive or too hard or too time consuming, or they were just too damn busy to have time to even stop and think about. So if we give people time, we allow for creativity and we allow for more problem solving. And probably, hopefully, some better communication as well.
Oh, it is.
Because AI is great for that. AI can help us communicate when sometimes we're not very clear. So it's a great interpreter. It's a great way of using AI to prompt ourselves to say, okay, well, what is the real problem here?
Yes.
Are we addressing the real problem, or are we just coming in and kind of going, this is a bit annoying, I'd like AI to solve this? Is that really what we need to be focusing on? Or if we can get rid of that, what does it let us focus on?
That's right. So if you look at like general workforce and if you look at operations in any business, the amount of people, the amount of time that people spend or waste on things that are just like, they are not strategic, they are not creative, they are adding value, but they're are boring. Yes, yeah, they are necessary. Yes, yes. And they are the ones that can be actually automated. You would see that even like the most creative and like amazing people have to spend their time sort of like looking at the books or driving
Everyone
the files.
has to do the paperwork in some way, shape, or form.
And that work can be avoided. So like we are working with like accountants, we are working with construction organizations, manufacturing, every sector we look at, and especially if you look at that operations part.
Yeah.
So for example, just with an accounting organization, when they onboard a client, they ask for like hundreds of documents, and then client would send them the documents and they'll read the document, say, this is great, can we have this, can we have that, can we have that, and so on. So there's like all of that collection of the documents part, then it's the analysis part, then finally there's some strategizing about how to actually best structure this.
Yeah.
All of that collection part can actually be automated with the help of AI. We have got accountants sitting in the accounting firms who are actually downloading the files from zero, and then they have to create multiple tabs for each account in Excel. And then they have to copy paste it to measure and check it. Or they get like...
And if your accountant is in that organization is away because they've got a family wedding, then your work has to wait.
That's right.
And one of the fantastic things about automated systems is that you don't have to wait.
Absolutely.
So the ability for someone else that you work with to be able to pick up or feed into the work that you're doing then becomes possible in a way that it was incredibly painful.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have had that experience of going, look, someone's away, I need to pick up their work, something's come up, we need to do this work, they're the expert, but they're not here, so I'm going to have to learn this. And you basically burn a week by trying to figure out what it is that they need, trying to get up to speed. This is one of the great things about AI is that it can actually do all of that really, really quickly.
Yeah, so literally anything that you are doing on Excel, apart from like reading it and analyzing, or on Word, or on an email, or on a computer, that essentially can be automated with the help of AI.
Yeah.
So you need to identify what those processes are.
Yeah.
Of course, map those processes and see how you can actually start to automate them.
And then talk to your people about it.
Yes.
About why you're doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
And see if you can get them on board with you, or at least to give it a chance to see how it rolls out.
And when we work with organizations, we actually work with the people who are doing the job because they know the best and say, okay, what is the most frustrating part of your job? And they say, oh, this part I have to do all the time. I hate it. We look at the process and say, okay, say that's fine. This is something that can be automated or semi-automated with the help of AI. And the process is generally very quick. So you draft, like you create a workflow of what this process looks like. We understand how those decisions are made. Then we create these simple AI automations with the help of Make or N10, connect their systems, test those automations for 1 or 2 weeks. and then it's in place. And then
Yeah.
those people are free from their misery and can then focus on other things.
Oh, it sounds great, doesn't it? But I also think it sounds an awful lot like, we need to consider and allow time to think about how we can automate into our businesses and our workflows that will add value. But we also need to take time and consideration to train our people.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
by our people, I mean all of us, because the danger in all of this is that people, as you say, go out there, go, fantastic, we're going to bring AI in. It's going to save us all of this time, all of this money. It can replace all of this work that we've been doing that's expensive or time consuming or that we haven't had time to do.
Yeah. Because one thing that frustrates me a lot, especially here in Australia, is got a lot of businesses where we did like the roadmap and strategy. But also when I talk to some of them, they say, oh, this is great. We want to do it, but we are too busy at the moment to do it. You are always going to be busy to do things. Like this is something that's going to actually save you time.
The busyness is not going away.
Yes, it's not going to go away. If your people are busy and if you are busy on your day-to-day work, it's going to be there. Like you're always going to have either less sales or more sales, operation problems. There's going to be always challenges and problems. You need to step out of your business. You need to get a better view, dedicate some resources to actually work it out, because no magician can come in and just automate the stuff.
Yeah.
This information needs to come from your business. So you need to spend some time on it to get the value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've really given people some interesting things to talk about and think about and hopefully go back to their businesses and start having these conversations or progress these conversations or just decide to go for it, which would be really nice as well.
Yes.
So if we can come back, have a bit of a break, and then if we can come back and talk about some of the tools, whether it's Make, whether it's N8N, and how do they implement them? What should they be thinking about? What tools might work for them? What do they need to be aware of? Where are the pitfalls? Where are the risks? That would be fantastic.
Yes.
Can we have that conversation?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this latest episode of the Dumb Monkey Show. We're going to be back really soon and we're going to be talking tools.